Right. So let's do this. Okay. Pi Network is the mobile crypto experiment. So before I delve into it, let me give you background. So recently I was going through something. I always do research. That's what I do. I don't just come here and talk. I do my research first. If I don't have my information, I'm not giving you unless I have the information. So now I do. So I was doing this. Yeah, somebody said I like your words very much. Somebody said Ray is right. Somebody said nice work. Thank you, thank you. I love the positivity around. It's always good. But let me just say this. So I was doing my own research and I stumbled upon it actually. So I was listening to it, watching and listening, and Nicholas Kokalis and Chenja Fan. I think the person that interviewed them was clever. You know, he and I think you may have watched that video, but you didn't clock it. But you need to always read between the lines. And so when I was watching it, and one thing about them is when they're answering questions, they're very short with their answers. And I don't like people that answer questions. I don't like questions being answered very short. Have you seen how Zeus answers questions? Even if you ask him a yes or no, a question that requires a yes or no response, he would say yes or no, and then he will elaborate on why he said that. You look at Chenja Fan and Nicholas Okalis, when they're given a response, it's always short. Even if it requires a longer answer, they'll give you a shorter answer. What are they not telling you and me? What are they not telling you and me? It makes it very untrustworthy, you know, because when you're truthful to somebody, you're always passionate to say what you believe in. You're passionate about it. Everything you say is not ambivalent. It's just bish, bash, bosh. You say it. Take it or leave it. And that's why somebody said I'm being negative about Pi Network. No, I'm not. I'm actually telling you the facts. So when I came across it, the one thing that the interviewer asked the question, and he asked a question about something, and then he made an analogy with X. So X obviously is formerly known as Twitter. And if you don't know, Elon Musk has taken Twitter from the public to private. So it's no longer you can't buy shares from Twitter anymore, X, because it's made it private now, which means it's not tendered to public. So you can't just go anywhere on the stock market and I'm going to buy shares at or on X. You can't do it. Now, the reason why he did that is to be able to grab hold of it without shareholders whispering things in his ears the whole time. Do you know what I mean? And when you don't have shareholders whispering things in your ears the whole time, you have full autonomy. Or almost full autonomy, because there might be somebody behind the scenes calling the shots as well. But clearly Elon Musk calls the shots at X. So, but for now it's an experiment because he's trying to see if he can get things done. Do you know what I mean? Without any interferences from external forces or external people. And I think so far he's doing a good job because I've been on Twitter for a while. And now I can say I love being on Twitter because certain features have been updated, they've been upgraded, and certain things that didn't belong there have been removed. Do you know what I mean? So it's still an experiment. So when the person asked that question and made that sort of reference, the person said to Nicholas Okali, so therefore, Pi is an experiment. And they said, yes, it's an experiment. So immediately I was like, oh, so Pi is an experiment. And then I started trying to expand what that meant, because you can't just look at their face value and say, Pi is an experiment. You have to make sure you obviously go into it. And then I referred back to my days in secondary school and then eventually university and how we used to do experiments, So when I was in secondary school, I did science, which means physics, chemistry, biology, and maths and other things. Now, we did a lot of experiments. Experiments mean that you're trialing and you get some errors and all of that. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it works, which means you don't have a clear plan. You don't have a clear vision. You're doing it as you go until you get to some results that your teacher or your lecturer would say, you didn't get this right. Nah, it doesn't seem right. Okay, that's okay. You could improve on this. No, try and adjust this. Try and do that. That's what you get. That's what experiments are about. So they started Pi as an experiment. That's what I believe. They started Pi Network as an experiment, a mobile crypto mining project years ago. You get what I'm saying? You understand? years ago, and we're talking about Pi Network right now. Years ago they started, before I get to obviously the ICE bit, the ICE network bit, because that's the interesting bit, isn't it? So they started that years ago, prior to 2019, March 14th, and they tried it based on the source code of Bitcoin, and they thought, right, Bitcoin would definitely have some mistakes or errors because they initiated the whole crypto project and on the crypto journey. And eventually they thought, well, it consumes too much power, which means it's for people who have enough resources. And when I say resources, I mean money, to be able to purchase equipment to get plants and be able to mine Bitcoin, but they thought, well, why not? Which means that it's only limited to a certain amount of people. So why not expand it by adjusting the code and ensuring that you can actually mine it from your phone without it consuming too much power or network data allowances from your phone, which means it will be in the cloud, and you're able to mine and so on. So that's what they did. And that was the initial part of the experiment. And it started. We didn't know it was an experiment. Some people don't even believe it's an experiment because their heads are in their backside, that they're making sure it doesn't come out of it for them to actually visualize what's happening. But you need to do that. You can't attach sentiment to anything you do. You have to make sure you get your facts right and don't be somebody that does no experiment. Sorry, no research. If you don't do that, then eventually you will be the ones that would, feel like you've been misled because you didn't actually get your facts right. Do you know what I mean? So I am in a state where I'll only get involved in something if I feel like this is going to be beneficial in the long run. That's why I don't do a lot of the airdrop stuff. So most of the mobile mining people that do the airdrops, I'm not part of it. So if you're asking me about Aviv or Avive or Aviva or whatever, if you're asking me about Sidra, you're asking me about Tipcoin or whatever the name is, you're asking me about Core, all those ones. Core I was involved initially, but I just saw the project as fruitless, so I just got out of it. You can join if you want. I'm not asking you not to, but me personally, any project that does airdrops only or airdrops as the main thing, I try not to get involved. Oh, please go and join our Telegram and then you get that. Oh, please sign up to our this and you get this. Like our thingy, put in a hashtag this and add that and you get, no, I don't want that. I can't be doing that. I can't let my timeline be full of that. I need quality over quantity. Do you get what I'm saying? Quality over quantity. I can tell you the truth. I only have 4 of the numerous mobile mining cryptos projects that there are, because most of them are experimental. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want to get involved in too many experiments or too much experiments. And that's what it is. However, because Pi Network is the pioneers of mobile mining crypto, their experiment seems extensive. They seem to be the benchmark that others are following. So when Pi Network came out, we did have B Network, we did have Time Stop, or some other ones, Ego, and then some other ones. Those times, 2 years ago, I joined them, but they look fruitless, so I left them. Do you know what I mean? B Network particularly. So I can tell you this right now, that yes, Pi Network started as an experiment, but as they went along, they realized that the masses are joining, so they have to take it seriously. And I'm not saying they never took it seriously, but they have to take it extra seriously. So that's what happened, so much so that they began to, extend everything. That's why the servers couldn't hold the KYC solutions that they had, because they never ever anticipated that they were going to have that amount of people, which they have right now. But like I said, quality over quantity. So most people are saying Pi Network started it, and because of that, they're the best. I don't believe that. They're not the best. They're not the best. Yeah, they started it, but they're not the best. They can potentially be the best, but from what I've seen so far, with all the others that I've seen, particularly ICE Network, which I'm going to get into very soon, Pi Network is not the best. Potentially could be. It has every potential to be the best, but based on everything they've done so far and what I've seen, it's looking improbable. It's looking improbable. So yes, Pi Network was an experiment for starters. It still is an experiment, but it's looking okay so far. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and lambast in your headlines if announced ICE network has begun. When can I pass it? Don't worry, I'm gonna tell you something about that. That's the headlines. The headlines. If I didn't do that, you're not gonna come, right? Don't worry about it. I'm gonna talk about that very soon. So let's stay within context. So this is it. Pi network is definitely it started off as an experiment, clearly. And as time went on, they realized they're getting overwhelmed by the number of people who are signing up. And so they had to extend that wing of experimentation to, you know, getting results. And trust me, when you start something as an experiment, to get results so hard, because experiment is experiment, trial or error. That's what it is. If you've been to school, primary school, secondary school, university, all those levels, you do experiments, trial or error. You understand? You get most things wrong. And that's what it is. Pi network have got most things wrong. It doesn't make them not so good, but it makes them human. I don't look at them and see perfect people. Maybe you do. I don't. You get what I'm saying? I don't. You know, and that's just fact. When you've been in education to a certain level, you know what it takes. You know what capabilities you have. And you know, whatever someone has done, you can do it if you want to. Sometimes you need capital. So if you don't have the capital, it doesn't mean you don't have the capability. Do you get what I'm saying? So you don't need people telling you that you can't do something. You can do it as long as you know, you have the capital to initiate it. Do you get what I'm saying?